All right, this is a sequel to the very first and only video I have on this channel. I got this Workhorse 1975 almost exactly 3 years ago. Made a video right before my very first cook. I just cleaned this up and thought I would make a 3-year update on my experience with this. So 3 years in, I've done well over 100 cooks on the Workhorse. I've kept it outside, uncovered the entire time. I'm in Arizona, it's dry, and so it works really, really well. We actually had a really wet last few months. It developed a light coating of rust on it. I quickly brushed that rust off, washed it down, put a fresh coat of oil on it. It's looking pretty much good as new in my opinion. So a few things I love about this overall. The thickness of the steel, this holds temperature like crazy. Very first cook, I didn't feel like there was a major learning curve. It's kept the temperatures really, really easily. I have noticed that about 8 to 10 inch pieces of wood in the firebox, throwing them in there every 30 to 40 minutes keeps that temperature really nice. If you use longer pieces like 12 and 16 inch, they do fit in there, but it seems to cause a lot larger temperature spikes. So I typically stick to the 8 to 10 inch range. Sometimes if I'm just doing a fast cook and don't care near as much, I'll throw larger logs in there, but I typically like to cut those down to about the 10 inch mark. It just seems to not cause as big a temperature swings when you stick in a new piece of wood. Overall, everything's held up really, really well on this 1975. One thing is maybe 5 or 6 times if you use the top rack. So let's get this. Door is still heavy. I put in the top rack. So I bought it with the top rack. I've used it maybe 5 or 6 times. What I've found is that I'm typically always cooking the same type of meat on here, whether it's brisket or pulled pork or wings. I rarely am cooking like a brisket and wings, and there's such a big temperature shift from here to the very top when you have the top rack on there that it just doesn't make sense. You're typically moving around the meat way too much, and so I'd rather spread it out on the bottom rack than have the top rack there. So I'm glad I got it with the top rack. I do use it, especially for wings, to crisp them up, have that higher temperature to move them to up there. Works really, really well, but I haven't used it that often. I typically just use that bottom rack there. As for the cowboy firebox, I have not grilled on that more than maybe 2 to 3 times, but I'm very glad I added that because the ability to access the firebox and open that up when you're starting fires or specifically cleaning it and getting to the baffle back there and cleaning back there is really, really nice. So I highly recommend you get it with the cowboy firebox, even if you don't intend to grill on it, because it just makes accessing and cleaning it that much easier. I did add a ball valve down here just to clean out the grease easier. I can just open that up, stick a bucket under there, it drains in, I shut it, and that has worked really, really well. I've kept it the same exact spot since I've gotten it because it's just heavy and I have no need to move it. I put a few things under here just to level it out. I think I had those actually in the first video because it was slightly angled down. That leveled it out, and now the grease drains as it's supposed to. Also, this is pretty much the sole thermometer I use on this. Although I do like having the other thermometers on here because I can tell how quickly it's heating up by how different the temperature is from here to here. So like right now you can see 300 and about 20. Right here 320. It's almost exactly even side to side, which is what I love about this. But if I throw too big of a log on there, I can see this jump up about 25 degrees before it hits over here, and I can tell how quickly it's heating up. So I typically use this. I always have my food over here. I throw a brisket or even 2 briskets or pork butt, stick them in the corner over here. This is the temperature gauge I go off of. If I'm using the top rack, I use these to get a little more insight into what's happening in the top rack. But you can see right here almost 75 degrees difference from the top to the bottom, and almost perfectly even over here, top to bottom. So it's very consistent all the way across. When I've cooked 70 to 100 wings on here, plus I'll fill up this entire bottom rack, and they surprisingly cook very evenly. The only hot spot is a little bit right here. Not quite there, but right over here. It'll cook a little faster, so I just put larger things right there and the smaller ones off to the side, and that works really, really well. But overall, this has been an amazing smoker. I highly recommend it. I've always kept it with the smokestack up. I just close the top. Rain doesn't get in there. It doesn't seem to have any issue with that. And overall, it's worked really, really well. So highly recommend this. Let me know what questions you have and I can make a follow-up video.